Hello, folks. This is Steve A.B. for y'all. Nothing in this episode is a promotion, nor is it a recommendation. I've gotten into, as I've told you before, kind of checking with online news that's local to North Carolina, WFMY, 30 miles north in Greensboro. I used to live in Raleigh, so I also look at WRAL, Raleigh. Major television station, news reporting source. It's easy to find them. So I clicked on local news. And I'm scrolling down. I'm recreating what happened a few minutes ago. Scrolling down, I looked at one or two articles. And then I see this one here. Water in Mount Olive shut off until Monday morning. Now today is Sunday. Residents under boil water advisory until Tuesday. That would be until they can finish what they're doing and flush the system. Now, I've been to Mount Olive, when I went out on weekends finding North Carolina highway historical markers. Like there's a college, and I looked it up now, it's a university in Mount Olive. It's a nice town. That area is very nice. It's kind of in the Piedmont of North Carolina, just like I'm in the Piedmont. So I'm looking at the article online. Residents in Mount Olive are to prepare for water shutoff Sunday night. The city of Mount Olive shut off water for the town Sunday night. Water for the entire town of Mount Olive was shut off Sunday night at 8 p.m. to repair a broken water main. Water services will not return until 6 a.m. Monday morning. So the whole town. Population 4,000. It's a college town, but it's not very big. I can think of a place that I stopped and ate there. Thumbs up. I was on my way back from fishing, actually. So that's kind of why I was interested. Then they talk about many residents in the town have been stocking up on water from grocery stores. While stores aren't sold out, some shelves are empty. Now you can see that it says the water shut off in Mount Olive is due to a broken 12-inch water main in front of, and it names the business, on NC Highway 55. I've been down that road. So I just put the address in Google, and there's a picture of the outside, and you can click on it and see the outside. Now, it's North Carolina Highway 55, but it crosses another major highway. There's a shopping district there. Oh, look at this. Hamburger Chip Warehouse, Mount Olive. Hang on. You've probably bought these. Mount Olive pickles. You see them right there? You probably bought them. They're famous and they're good. I'm not promoting anything. Mount Olive. That's where the name comes from. So the water main break is here. Now I'm going to show you why I'm doing this episode. You see those orange cones? They're in front of, they're correct. There's something happening. See, it's a divided highway. It's NC 55. And down there you can see there's another one crossing it that passes over it. It's also a restricted access. You can see that there's a shopping center here. There's Taco Bell, and you can get your chicken there. And now, this doesn't mean that this business had anything to do with the water main break. In fact, what the article talks about is aging infrastructure. Now, I'm thinking of where I was living in Raleigh. I can think of two different times. It was right across from an elementary school, less than a mile from NC State campus. We're not talking about in the boondocks, but and the break is causing a loss of approximately 50,000 gallons of water a day. Jeremy King, Utilities Director of the town of Mount Olive, said completely shutting off the water is a quick temporary fix for outdated infrastructure. Now the next paragraph, which will lead into what I was about to say about Raleigh and the street where I live, road where I live. The only way to get this shut off was to shut off every valve in the tanks to kill the whole town. So somewhere they've got a big water tower that spreads out in all directions. And now the system is getting old. It's over 50 years old. With age, anything happens, you got galvanized lines that deteriorate and corrode over time. And you have the passing seasons, frost heaves, and all that kind of stuff. And in a way, what we're seeing in this picture is no different than what was out in front of where I was living, renting, across the street from an elementary school. Two different times, they had to come and shut off the water to our area. This is in Raleigh. Dig it up and fix a water main that had burst. Just like what apparently is happening in Mount Olive right there in front of that business. You notice what he said, 50 years. Now, I'm talking about an incident that happened, let's say, 12 years ago. I knew somebody, a neighbor, who used to live north of Raleigh in 1932, the first year of the Depression. In 1932, he used to live outside north of Raleigh and used to drive his Ford automobile into Raleigh because he was going to classes at NC State, which was called State College at that time. And he told me what his route was in town, and he used to turn onto the road I'm talking about 200 feet up from where the water main was. And he said in 1932, this was all cow pastures. So that means the city expands. So they're fixing a water main. That was put in there as the Raleigh was expanding along that road. Glenn, all right? And the apartments across the road, just up 200 feet at the corner, that he'd come along that road. It was a dirt road. And the road he turned onto that now was paved that had the leak, they turned onto a gravel road. I remember him telling me. 1932. How long ago was that? 90 years ago? No, not 90 years ago. What's my arithmetic doing? So the apartments right at that corner, it's all been torn down in this last year, and they're building a replacement apartment complex. First started to be built in 1938, one small section, and then once the Second World War was over, that's when they really went to town building. 1946. 46 plus 40 is 2006 plus 10. Do you get it? It's the same age. Same age. Now you're wondering why I'm going on like this. Now let me show you. Do you see something here at the roadside with the orange cones? If you look down at the bottom, you can't see it. Image capture April 2023. Okay, it's July 30th. Let's say it's May, June, July, 3 months ago. Do you see those cones? So I'm looking around because I'm kind of interested to see where the water main break is. It says it's right in front of that machine shop. And this is the Street View driver going by in April 2023. And then I did this. Let me show you what I did. I clicked over here. I clicked to go on the other side of the road. And this captures December 2022. Not April 23, December 2022. So we don't see anything over here. Can you see the camera there on the car? This is now April 2023. And we can see the cones there. Now, why am I pointing out the cones? I'm looking for the again, this is December. If I'm on this side of the road and I come along like this, now wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Now as I'm coming along from back here and I look, I can see the cones. December 2022. Now, let me tell you how Street View works. Some places, they're rural roads, and the last time they actually sent is when they started doing Street View, is now in 2007. Sometimes you get a picture of a road, a backcountry road from 2007, and you're sitting in 2023. But on a major artery like this in Mount Olive, they come by more frequently, but they have so many trips, the computer's trying to figure out which Street View visit to show you for where you clicked on the map. And when I was further up the road that way, and I clicked on that, they gave me a passage in December 2022, and we couldn't see the cones. But right now, I'm back on the other side of the road. It's December 20, so it's a different trip, or they came back a day later or something the other way because they just keep going that way for 20 miles, and they go to a motel, and then tomorrow they come back on the other side of the road. You got it? So even back in December 22, I can see the 3 cones right there. And there they are. And the date is December 2022. So what happened here, now it's switched sides, and now we're April 2023. So here's the deal. Where's the water main break? I've showed you the cones. I've really belabored it. I've shown you the cones were there at least in December 2022. 7 months ago, 8 months ago. They're losing 50,000 gallons a day. It's old infrastructure. They got to figure out a way to fix it.
Well, everyone.
Can you see it? There's a leak. There's the pool of water. Now we know why they got the cones there. The thing I don't see in the article is why it's taken them so long to shut off the water and decide to fix it. It's not a criticism. It's a question. It's been like that at least since December. 50,000 gallons a day. Old infrastructure. And actually, if you go back and you look at how they're quoted, the only way to get this shut off was to shut off every valve in the tanks. So the problem they were dealing with was the fact that for the way things were laid out, they literally were going to have to shut the whole town off. You say, well, it's only 4,000 people. About all those businesses? And they're going to have to go out there on the main highway and close the highway in there. And once they start digging, do they know what they're going to hit? Because I'll tell you something. One of those 2 breaks in front of where I was living, it took them almost a week. I think what happened is when they got down in there, it was a lot worse than they expected because they had to dig up more of the road than they initially went down over. They knew where they thought the break was, but then they think they discovered. It was what this guy said. The galvanized pipes are breaking up, and when you start touching them, it might be, you see, what they're hoping is they can go in and they can make a hole big enough that they can cut off the broken part of the pipe, put a new flange here, and put a connector in between. But what happens when you dig down and the pipe is cracked all the way for the next quarter mile? And that just happens to be where you see the water coming to the surface. I don't know what their situation is going to be. I'm going to assume they use some kind of ground radar to figure it out. I think this is going to be very challenging to them. And it's a small town. They might not have the money. It might have taken that long just to get a grant to do it. I'm not criticizing them. I'm explaining what the hell's going on. I could see those 3 cones there in December. Taking care of things isn't necessarily easy. And thank you, WRAL, for the perfect on-the-spot shot. Steve A. before you. just letting his mind wander and doing a little bit of brainstorming, figuring it out, saying, see you in 73.